Hitohito Tadano meets Shoko Komi, a stunning but reserved girl, on their first day of school at Itan Private High School. Due to her attractiveness and reserved personality, Komi gains popularity, whereas Tadano falls out of favor owing to being given the desk next to Komi's. Tadano finds himself alone with Komi, who nearly flees when he initiates a conversation with her, making him realize she suffers from acute social anxiety. Tadano proposes she write on the chalkboard so she can express her wish to talk normally, but is unable to do so due to her worry because she is unable to communicate with people. Tadano writes his own message on the board for her after she apologizes for wasting his time and tries to leave, giving her her first genuine interaction with a friend. Tadano, who is now her first friend, learns that her desire is to have 100 friends and agrees to help her discover the other 99. The admissions test for their school was actually a personality interview, which suggests that it is full of weirdos, loners, miscreants, and eccentrics when it is disclosed the next morning. The endeavor will therefore be more challenging than Tadano had anticipated. Najimi Osana, a buddy from childhood who frequently changes genders, is introduced to Komi by Tadano. Najimi Osana, a buddy from childhood who frequently changes genders, is introduced to Komi by Tadano. Because he switches schools so regularly, Najimi is everyone's childhood friend. Najimi confesses that despite offering to take Komi home, they tried to become her friends years ago but were unsuccessful, and the shock of that failure has prevented them from being around Komi to this day. Tadano follows the two and observes that even Najimi finds it challenging to talk to Komi. The misbehaving Ma, a different childhood buddy, approaches Najimi and declares his love. Najimi changes back into a man to tell Ma to ignore him, but Ma is unyielding. When Komi tries to talk, Ma believes her to be an assassin due to her stuttering and unwavering gaze. As a result, he kills her. Tadano becomes even more enraged when Najimi starts having lunch with him and Komi. As Tadano describes Komi's yearning for friendship, Najimi sends Komi off on her own to acquire a convoluted coffee order on the pretense that it is practice for forcing Komi to communicate. Tadano and Najimi both find Komi's pouting cute, but after numerous attempts, Komi manages to get the wrong coffee and breaks down in tears. Himiko Agari finds it difficult to speak and feels frightened as Komi starts to pursue her. Since they both had communication issues, Najimi advised Komi to be friends with Agari. Afterwards, Agari thanks Komi for scaring her since it made it easier for her to interact with her peers. Out of gratitude, she decides to adopt Komi's role as her pet. As Komi buys her first phone, she makes a promise to ask everyone for their digits. She gets Agari's number, but he acts like a lapdog, discouraging her from calling Najimi. The awkwardness of asking for Tadano's phone number is increased when Agari unintentionally wrecks the situation. Unknowingly, Komi gets chosen as the class president. Najimi, sensing her hesitancy, arranges for Komi to be elected class goddess, Tadano elected as president, and herself to serve as vice president. Accidentally dialing Tadano's number, Komi makes her embarrassing first phone call, which she and Tadano are both pleased with. Najimi urges Komi to join in the games being played by the popular pupils since Komi is drawn to them. Yet, since Komi is so well liked, everyone anticipates that she will triumph. Tadano ruins the second game to spare Komi from an awkward situation, which increases his unpopularity. But he is happy when Komi praises him for helping her have fun. During the physical exams, Makeru Yadano, who despises losing, is motivated to defeat Komi. Komi triumphs because she is taller, lighter, and has better eyesight. A physical examination in Yadano's opinion proves nothing, and he deems the test to be a tie. Tadano's exam performance is completely mediocre. Popular girl Ren Yamai, who has a crush on Komi, makes Najimi introduce the two of them. Tadano wakes up after being taken hostage by Yamai in her bedroom. Komi holds herself responsible for what transpired and muses aloud about whether Tadano will still be her buddy. Najimi invites Yamai in to apologize for her behavior. Yamai should be made aware of Komi's social anxieties, Komi decides. Although Komi's incapacity to converse shocks Yamai, she determines that it just makes Komi cuter and will help her to get over 100 friends. After some consideration, Komi decides Yamai can also be her friend. Komi's summer attire makes her even more alluring. Yadano wants to outperform Komi in the fitness tests, but he keeps failing. Yadano is even more determined to defeat Komi as a result of her inability to shake hands. Najimi and Komi meet when Najimi begs to go to Komi's house. Komi tries to make a joke, but she lacks comedic timing and situational humor. Even if Tadano isn't very good at cracking jokes, Komi is nonetheless impressed. Since Komi has never gone shopping for clothes before, everyone picks out outfits they believe will look well on her. Komi is advised by Tadano to buy a dress. Then Komi stops by a beauty salon. The owner, Maki Karisu, is aware of Komi and understands her, but until Komi manages to thank her, Arai, her apprentice, perceives Komi's silence as an assessment of Arai's customer service abilities. The following day, only Tadano notices Komi's haircut, which makes Komi delighted. Komi struggles to go to sleep because she keeps replaying the failed discussions she had earlier in the day, but she eventually nods off as she considers Tadano's help. Najimi asks for help with her homework but quickly gets bored. Najimi receives a penalty for being too loud in the school library. Everyone ultimately succeeds on their tests. Yadano is furious now. Every exam, Komi fared better than her. The first week of summer finds Komi and Tadano feeling alone, yet they are too terrified to call one another. By inviting them both to go swimming at the pool, Najimi unwittingly finds a solution to the issue. Despite her anxiety, Komi shows up at the pool in a timely manner, dressed in the gown Tadano selected. Komi only owns a school swimsuit, so Yamai pushes her to get a bikini. Eventually, Komi stumbles, grazing her knee. Komi is stranded and unable to get in the water. She is drawn in and Tadano lifts her spirits. Then Komi visits the library. They get shaved ice and her father, who is also illiterate, joins them. They usually communicate non-verbally when discussing Komi's school experience. A book is found by Komi, who decides to read it instead of borrowing it since she is too terrified. She is able to reassure a newborn who is terrified by her gaze. Tadano, also at the library, cheerfully watches from a nearby vantage point while forgetting to return his own books. Komi enjoys spending time by herself at a park. Tadano, who is passing by, is struck by how stunning she is and once again forgets to give his books back. Visitor Komi, Najimi, and Yamai meet Hitomi, Tadano's sister, at Tadano's home. They discuss how much they enjoyed this summer. They witness Komi sobbing as she, for the very first time, expresses her displeasure with the end of the summer. After the summer break, the semester starts. Nokoko Inaka, who is from the countryside, is upset. In an effort to learn how to place an order for food like a city girl, she follows Komi after learning that she is going to purchase Najimi a sandwich. Komi is invited to hang out at Nakanaka's house. She fears having Komi alone in her home, so she invites Najimi, who also comes with Tadano. Tadano demonstrates how to play a video game to Komi as they play it. Najimi requests that Komi and Tadano help distribute tissues in a store on their day off. Despite a rocky beginning, Komi gains assurance when she eventually hands a woman a tissue, and by the end of the day, she has distributed the entire box. Komi is too anxious to tell Tadano that he has a seed stuck on his face when he arrives at class. After realizing he calls Najimi by their first name, she requests that he address her by her first name too. Tadano can't do that. Komi, humiliated, fails to follow Najimi's advice to address Tadano by his first name in order to set a good example. At the school's yearly sports day, Komi meets Chika Natsuno, a second-year student who is fiercely competitive. After numerous events, Komi challenges Natsuno in a relay race. She stumbles and falls, but support from her friends helps her get back up and cross the finish line in second place. To Natsuno's joy, Komi's friends quickly come to her rescue without knowing how the race turned out. While fellow classmate Nene Onemine helps Tadano with his overworked obligations as class president, Komi experiences her first jealousy. One evening, Onemine is helping Tadano, and Komi offers to help when she gets there. Tadano accepts. After recognizing Komi's love for Tadano, Onemine leaves Komi and Tadano alone. Afterward, Onemine apologizes for meddling and becomes friends with Komi. Much to Komi's joy, she and her companions visit a mall picture booth. In an arcade, Tadano finds a cat keychain in a claw game and wins it for Komi. 3 days later, at school, he wants to present it to her, but she already has one, so they trade gifts instead. When Komi gets home from school, she is closely holding Tadano's keychain. What Komi's class will do for the forthcoming culture festival is still up in the air. Tadano is privately informed by Komi that she wants to start a maid cafe. Hearing this, the entire class nods in agreement. Onemine and Kaede Otori, another student in Komi's class, are tasked with procuring supplies for the celebration. Komi agrees when Otori asks her to help the group. After that, Komi confides in Otori that she had always felt unimportant to her middle school peers and had been thrilled when they sought for assistance. Tadano, Najimi, and Komi distribute festival posters. The mother of the baby Komi met at the library is one of the strangers she tremblingly hands the items to. Among the girls who give the boys onigiri as a surprise are Komi and Najimi. When Komi learns that Tadano chooses the one she made, which Onemine observes, she is ecstatic. Komi, Najimi, and Tadano dress as maids for the event. Najimi makes the decision to employ unscrupulous strategies to increase festival attendance while the boys remain uneasy. But they are stopped and made to issue refunds. Komi, Tadano, and Najimi visit a haunted mansion in the school's rooftop confessions before being hauled away by the meditation club. Later, Onemine and Otori accompany Komi and Tadano as they explore the many booths and activities. The gymnasium announces Komi's class as the festival champions. Unfortunately, as a result of Najimi's activities, they are denied the top prize. Everyone congregates for the dancing party later. Tadano, who is tremblingly striving to lead the way, wants to dance with Komi. Then an ecstatic Najimi joins them. After the event, Komi's class goes to a karaoke club. Despite the fact that she was overly anxious to perform, Komi is lauded for her singing there. Tadano is inspired to complete when practically everyone ignores him when it is his time, with the exception of Komi, of course. Afterwards, Komi thinks back on all the friends she had made while at home. And that brings us to the end of part 1 of Komi Can't Communicate series.